Hello guys, welcome to the last episode, episode number 9 of this series. In this episode, we are going to implement the last feature, searching and filtering authors and books. So right now, if you take a look at my application, I have an author list component as well as a books by author component. So what I want to do right now is to allow the user to enter like a search term in an input, and then the list of authors needs to needs to filter out the authors whose name does not contain that search term. So I'm going to show you how to implement this dynamic and responsive, let's say, filtering feature. So as I told you, we're going to create a search bar. It's going to be an input to search authors by name and books based on the title. And the filtering will be responsive, so it means that as you type, you will see the list being updated. So let's get started. The first update that we need to make is inside the author list. I'm going to talk about this a little bit and then I'm going to implement this. So first, we need to create this local state to keep track of the search term that the user has entered inside of this input. So that state and this input are bound to one another, as you can see, two-way data binding, right? And then we create this piece of code. As you can see here, this filtered authors array is going to filter the authors array coming from the context, right? And it's going to return only the authors whose name includes or contains the value we have inside of that local state, that search state that I talked about here. So three things, right? The local state, the filtered authors array, and then the input to set the value inside of that state, and of course to read that value. And one last thing is that based on these changes, from now on we're not going to map through the authors array coming from the context, but rather on the filtered authors that we computed above. So let's get to this, right? In the application, I'm going to navigate to author list. The first step for me is to write the code for that search state, and of course I am importing state here. The next thing that we need to do is to calculate that filtered authors const. And the next step for us is to create that input to kind of get the some search term from the user and update that local state. So let's create the input. This is the input, which is bound to that local state. And the last step for us is to not map the authors, but the filtered authors. And right now I've got two authors. I can, for example, go ahead and type the first character of my last name, and I see that only my name shows up. This is the first change inside of the author list component. The next change that we need to make is very similar. In the books by author component, I'm going to import use state. And then I am going to do the same thing here as well. So I'm going to create, this const called search, and what was the name? Search and set search. So search, search and set search. So it's going to be search and set search, and this is going to be state with an initial value which is going to be empty. And then the next step for us is to again filter the books. So filtered books variable we're gonna, get the books from the context and only return those whose title includes the title we have inside of that local state. And the next change that we need to make is the input. So below this h2 tag, we write the input. The input is bound to that, local state. And then for the authors, we are going to check the books for those authors. Instead of books, of course, we need to use filtered books. So right now, there are some books associated with this author and this author. I can go ahead and, for example, search for this substring. I get this author with the book. For this author, there are no books with that, search term. But if, for example, I go with this one, I can see that I've got, this title in these two books, and I am getting these two authors with those two books. So these are the changes that I made. So I talked about, the changes inside of the author list, as well as the books by author. This is the, state. This is the search term. This is the, variable, and of course the input. And finally, we are, filtering based on filtered books. This is the end of this playlist. I want to say a big thank you for, joining me in this episode. And in this whole playlist, I hope you've already learned a lot about Context API and how Context API can help you to share data among your components. It is very powerful, very flexible compared to, passing props among components, which can become very, tedious and unmaintainable, especially in larger applications. This course was like a 10-episode course, 10-episode tutorial from the intro to episode number 9. If you enjoyed watching the playlist, I'd really appreciate it if you could, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share this playlist with a friend, and don't forget to check out the other playlists and videos that I've got on my channel if you want to, deep dive into other topics related to React development. If you've got any feedback, questions, suggestions, I'd be more than happy to get in touch. You can drop a comment in the comment section, and we can talk about the things you want to discuss, or if you want me to create videos about a specific topic, just let me know. And yeah, that's it. Again, thank you for watching the course, and continue watching the other videos on my channel, and I'll see you in the next playlist.